Good day, everyone, and a warm welcome to our next system webinar. The topic for today, as well as next Wednesday, so it's a follow-up next Wednesday, is understanding relationships and how Shadowmatch can assist in relationship management, as well as those of you that are working with people that have relationship challenges. So there's not a lot from my side to announce, just the same story. Your microphone is currently on the mute setting. Towards the end of the webinar, I will enable the setting for you to unmute, and then you can ask your questions. In the meantime, please feel free to make use of the chat functionality. From my side, enjoy the session. Thank you, Peter. Over to you.
Thank you, Lizette, and welcome everybody. We will have a look at relationships this week and next week. And the reason for this is obvious. One, relationship seems to be a bit of a challenge in our world. And two, Shadowmatch provides a structure of relationship support and relationship improvement and optimization with the Shadowmatch relationship reports. But we obviously would like to share with you how we came to these relationship reports. So this week we will have a look at the 4 relationship frames and a few of the other topics around that. And then next week, we will have a look at the 8 relationship types. So the Shadowmatch language is we talk about relationship frames. That's sort of the consolidated relationship constructs. And then next week, we'll have a look at the relationship types. These are specific relationship types. For instance, parent-child, husband-wife, cohabitation, work relationships, etc., etc. It is also important for the Shadowmatch coaches. All the Shadowmatch coaches will, at a point in time, sometime in the future, be able to do relationship coaching because we are currently working on this, on the specifications for that capability to go live on the Shadowmatch coaching platform. And then these principles will be dealt with again. I will now share my screen so that we have notes in order to follow the notes so that we don't lose one another in the discussions and so that we can follow very closely to the content. Just a warning, dear delegates and participants, there's a lot of information in the webinar today. So if you get stuck in some of the information, you can send us an email, info@shadowmatch.com. Lizette will at the end repeat the information again. She might even put it in the chat. Let's start. What is the issue? So if we talk about relationships, what is the problem? Why is this a topic to be discussed? First of all, the majority, most people who seek help for a better life present a relationship challenge. It's not the same in different countries all over the world. There are differences. Some of the data is not reliable. Some data is a bit skewed because what happens is people would come for counseling, for instance, at a psychologist or a counselor or a minister or a coach. And initially, the problem is being presented as stress, or as they are anxious, or they have a sadness that they experience that they can't explain. And then when we start to understand better, we then discover, but this is actually a relationship problem. It's a relationship challenge. So most people, more than 70% of people who seek for advice and counseling and support towards building a better life have got some kind of a relationship challenge that they battle to deal with. In some countries, it's a bit lower. In some countries, it's a bit higher. And the data is in any way not very reliable because it's a complicated question to get to the data. Our relationships are probably our most challenging and most fulfilling life construct. We are relationship beings. We live in relationships. Our lives are relationships sensitive, and we are connected with the people around us. But these relationships are extremely challenges, not only between individuals, but also between groups, between countries, between different identity groups. It's just a very complicated thing, and therefore it could be it is one of our most challenging life constructs, but it's also the place where we find fulfillment and meaning and happiness. We as humans have a very bad relationship history. We are still struggling. We don't get it right. We just don't get this relationship thing right. We on every front, we have wars all over the world. We have whatever. We have public shootings and school shootings, and people storm into a building and they just start shooting other people. These are all relationship issues. So we are not doing well. It has the power to recover and destroy our lives. So a relationship can really recover somebody. If there's a good, solid relationship that becomes an anchor for a troubled person, it provides energy, it provides a lot of the content for the individual to recover. They have found that even recovery from a medical injury or a medical condition is much better for people with strong supporting relationships than for those who do not have those relationships. But obviously, on the other side, relationships can destroy the lives of people. I just had a discussion this morning with somebody who told me a horrific story about a relationship that destroyed an entire family, that the entire family was destroyed. Only one survived this whole ordeal. It's the most critical aspect of a fulfilling, happy, and successful life. It is without doubt, the most critical aspect of a happy and successful life. Without good relationships, people are not happy. And then this is the core issue. We do not get it right. That is the issue. So what we have decided from a Shadow Match perspective is we have the data and the habits of people. Maybe we can help. Let's just have a look at the business value of and what is the role and what are the implications from a business perspective about the relationships of individual in the business and outside of the business. Employees use their relationships to get things done. We actually measured this in Shadow Match, dear delegates, but at this point, the report is not yet available. But people use relationships and especially communication in the relationships to get things done. We refer to this as functional communication within functional relationships. So people use relationships to get things done. Negative work-related relationships can have a very negative implications on the collective and individual performance of employees. Well, I don't have to explain this, but relationships have a profound impact on the success of people in the workplace. If the relationship between people in the workplace are not functional and it's not positive, the workplace is being seen as negative, toxic, and we have all these horrible words that we use to explain and to describe the situation, but it compromises the workplace into a very negative experience of the day's activity. Employee retention is mostly a relationship issue. There's no question about this. Employee retention is a relationship, is in most cases, not all, but it's mostly a relationship issue. The relationships with people at work are critical for retention. And that's why we've got to invest in the relationship, make sure that people experience their relationship with the environment and the people in the environment as a positive and functional one. Relationships outside the working environment has an impact on work performance. We don't have to say anything about this. Let's just make a mental note about it. Marriage, parent, child, family, staying together, even friendships even influence the way people work. Helping those with relationships can only improve employee success. A lot of the relationship issues that we have carry us into the work. It goes with us into the workplace. We carry it with us and it influences us. Relationships improvement has a holistic influence on working conditions. It's just one of the best investments that we can make as a couple, as a family, as a circle of friends, a society, and as a business. Universities with students, we can carry on with this. Creates a better interaction between people. There's a better vibe and a culture, positive experience of the business, and better customer service. So we are almost done with the introduction. Let's start with the video. Now, dear delegates, this is a very, very, very loaded video. Lizette will make the address on YouTube where this video can be found, and you can view it again and again available. But this video, you will probably want to watch it again and again and again. It is extremely loaded with information. Bear with me. It's 2.5 minutes. I cannot do it better than what this visual presentation of the 4 relationship frames that we work with in the Shadowmatch relationship report structures to explain it in a better way. Bear with me for 2.5 minutes. Let's have a look at the video. Here we go.
This is the relationship model developed by Shadowmatch. Let me show you how it works. Imagine this circle as all our relationships. We divide it into an upper and a lower half. The upper part represents our two-way relationships. Both parties in the relationship must contribute, and both parties must gain from the relationship. The lower part represents one-direction relationships. The relationship is only dependent on one of the parties in the relationship. But let's divide this further, like this. The left half of our relationship circle represents social relationships with strong intuitive content. To the right, we have relationships with more rational and functional content. This leaves us with 4 relationship frames, and we can now give them specific names. This is a love relationship. This part is our friendships. Here we have business relationships. And last on our list is security relationships. I will now give you the core component of each relationship. A love relationship is a one-direction, social, and intuitive relationship. The interest of the beloved is of a higher priority to the lover than the lover's own interest. It is unconditional, and it cannot come to an end. Nothing can destroy it, not even the behavior of the beloved. Second on the list is friendship. It is also intuitive and social, but it is a two-way relationship. Both must contribute and gain from it. The parties to a friendship relationship must share common interests, and they must spend physical time together that they enjoy. Regular fun time together is critical for this relationship. Now we go to a business relationship. This is a functional and more rational relationship. The key drivers for a successful business relationship are the exchange of value and the fact that both parties to the relationship are convinced that they are winning from the transaction or the exchange of value. Our last relationship frame is that of security relationships. These are one-way relationships. They are functional and more rational. In this complex relationship, the one party needs the other for security of some sort. The party in need of security will do what is necessary to secure the relationship to gain the needed security. This could be for financial, emotional, physical, or employment security. Remember, being successful with your relationship is one of the cornerstones of success and happiness. At Shadowmatch, we build systems that build success for all.
Good. Now, dear delegates, the video, you can watch it again and again. And if you are interested in this, the book Shadowmatch, the full story, has got an explanation of the relationship, I think on page 44, 5, 6, around there. It's available on our shadowmatch.com website, which we refer to as our library of information. But the book is there, and it describes what this video now outlined in a bit more detail, and there are more examples in the book. I'm under correction, but you will find it, I think, sort of in the mid-40s. Let's just have a quick recap. Friendship relationship has a purpose of fulfillment of our social needs. That's the core purpose of friendship. Common interest doing things together, and physical distance is critical for the success of a friendship relationship. And the things we do together, we must enjoy, obviously. Obvious. There's no question about it. We must do the things that we enjoy together, and it must be a physical thing. Friendships are very dependent on a physical togetherness of those individuals. That's why distance plays a critical role. They reckon 20 minutes is the maximum distance between friends. Then the friendship starts to become, it dilutes and it becomes a non-friendship. The relationship dies if the distance is more than 20 minutes travel time. Then business relationships. The purpose is the fulfillment of our physical needs. A business relationship is to fulfill our physical needs. The core drivers of a business relationship are exchange of value, the feeling or the experience of winning by both parties. Both parties must experience the transaction as winning. I must feel that I bought this watch and I have gained by buying this watch. And this might be all kinds of experiences that I might have. It might be an emotional thing that I have gained, or a prestige or value or investment, whatever it is. And there must be an experience of both parties that this was a good deal. Now, obviously, there are questions to be asked about this, but let's save that for next week. A love relationship, hold on to your chair. The purpose is the fulfillment of our spiritual needs. It goes beyond our physical, emotional, and rational realms. We do not understand the power of this relationship, and we do not understand how these relationships really work. It's beyond our rational understanding and frames. It's beyond our emotions. It's beyond our physical, and it can only be described as it becomes a spiritual thing. The well-being of the beloved weighs more than the interest of the lover. So if I say that I love somebody, the interest of that somebody is of a higher priority for me than my own priorities and my own needs. So if I say, I love you, then your interest of well-being takes a higher priority in my life than my own interest. Maybe we don't like what we hear, but this is how it works, unfortunately. It's unconditional. A love relationship is an unconditional relationship. We will explain the detail next week, so just bear with us. A security relationship, the purpose is to be secure. It's for our safety, physically and emotionally. One party needs and uses the other to be secure or safe. So we will explain the detail and we'll have examples next week. A security relationship is where somebody in need of security plays the relationship so that they benefit from the relationship and they get the security that they need. So it's being provided to them. They stay in the relationship because of the security it provides them. One party needs and uses the other to be secure. So these are the relationship types that we work with in Shadowmatch. We have work-related relationship reports. That's a business relationship. Friendship, that's a friendship relationship. Family. Family is anchored in a love relationship, but it functions as a friendship relationship, but it can also just function as friendship without the love part of it. And in most instances, I think it is. Teacher-learner is a business relationship. I teach you and you pay me. Parent-child is a love relationship. It's a clean love relationship. Love, obviously, we have a specific love relationship. It could be parent-child, could be marriage, could be something else. A marriage relationship is a complicated one. Bear with us, bear with me, I'll show you. Let's go back to the 4 relationship frames. Here we have the love relationship. It's social and intuitive. It's about caring and sharing on this side, these 2. They are the intuitive and social, caring and sharing. We can use this as a nice way of saying it. A love relationship, just to remind us again, try to get a snapshot of this picture. The interest of the beloved weighs more than the interest of the lover. It's an unconditional relationship. It is not, I love you because. It doesn't work that way. There's no condition. There's no but. There's no such thing as, I love you, but I expect you to do these things for me to sustain the love relationship. That's not a love relationship. That's business. If I say to somebody, I did love you, but unfortunately, you didn't play the game with me, and now I don't love you anymore. I didn't love the person in the first instance. I just lied, or I was just on some trip when I said it, or I didn't understand the implications of a love relationship. The second one is the friendship. There it sits. Common interest, doing things together, physical distance. So these are the key drivers of making a friendship relationship work. Business. Here we have the 2 on this side. These are rational and functional relationship. It's exchange and winning. In a business relationship, the exchange of value, feeling of winning, and an agreement must be in place. We must agree on a value and the exchange of value, and both these people both individuals in the relationship must experience, they must have an experience of winning. I win by buying and paying this price for this car or what it might be. Then one party needs the other in order to be secure. This is a security relationship. It is rational and functional. It is a single directional relationship. Business is rational and functional. It's a bi-directional relationship. So it is dependent on 2 people. This relationship is being the one person stays in the relationship for the value they get to be secure. So it's a receive only relationship, and they stay in the relationship to keep on receiving what they need to be secure and to be safe. Now, dear delegates, we have 8 relationship frames in 8 relationship types. So the system compares my habits to the habits of somebody else. Let's say my dear wife, Lizette, and we then say we want a marriage relationship. It compares our habits to one another. And it says in these areas you are different, and in these areas you are similar. Be careful of this and be careful of that. And it writes a report, clinical, clean, and it sends one to me and one to Lizette. So these are the 8 relationships that the system, 8 relationship types that the system can generate when both of us have completed the shadow match worksheet. Let's talk about them quickly. Love relationship, it's a pure love relationship. Then parent-child. A parent-child relationship is a love relationship. It's unconditional, it's one-directional, and the interest of the child carries a higher priority to the parent than their own interest. Family sits there. It should be anchored in a love relationship, especially the close family of parents and children. But even on the broader family sense, brothers, siblings, blah, blah, blah. But the relationship should rather function in the space of friendship. So it makes it a bit complicated, but that's where it should obviously function. We'll get to the marriage one last. Friendship is just a friendship relationship. It sits clean in the quadrant for friendship. Staying together. This is, for instance, students. They stay in the same apartment, or people that have to stay together for a period of time, or people that decide because of financial reasons they need to move into the same apartment so that it makes it more affordable. We have a specific relationship for people staying together. It's also referred to as cohabitation. This is a business relationship. But to make it work, it's good if there's a part of friendship in it. We can move it just to business, but then it's clinical. The problem is staying together becomes a challenge if the people do not also enjoy the fact they have to do things together. At least they have to share the same space together. So it's a bit of a challenging one. I just want to give you an indication that the more these relationship frames are shared by a relationship, the more challenging that relationship becomes. The next one, a work relationship, is just an exchange of value. I give you my time, energy, talents, knowledge, and abilities, and you pay me money as a salary or as a fee or whatever it might be. So we exchange value. I give you my time and energy, you give me money. Teacher-learner is a business relationship. It's just the teacher provides the learner with learning content. The learner or the parents or the government pays the teacher for the value that they provide to the learners. And then it's obviously here, this, we don't want to explore this, dear delegates, because this is in most instances a sort of a forced relationship. It's not a relationship by choice. Let's look at an example. Somebody, their parents look after them for financial reasons, but the relationship with the parents are extremely negative and bad, but they stay in the relationship because of the security it provides to them. It might even be that I'm working at a place as an employee and I'm completely unsatisfied with everything at work, but I stay there and I stay in the relationship for the reasons of security, financial security that it provides me. Number 8 on our list is marriage. You will see that marriage sits in all 4 these quadrants or these relationship frames. This is the challenge. There's no question about it that a marriage relationship is the most complicated, it's the most challenging relationships that we live in. And the reason for this is it should obviously be driven by a love relationship, but there are friendship components. We do things together that we enjoy. And if we don't do things together that we enjoy, the relationship is challenged. Then there are some business components in a marriage. We have unless we have millions and billions of dollars or rands, there are some financial and some value discussions that must take place. That's it. The fact that there's a component of business in the relationship, and it might even be more than just the financials. It could be that I will look after the swimming pool if you look after the kitchen. That is business. That's a business transaction. I do this, but you must do that. Or in return for this, you must do that. I will park you, I will take your car and park it in the garage if you feed the dogs. That's a business transaction. What you define in that sentence is a business transaction. I will give you the value of putting your car in the garage, but you will give me the value by feeding the cats, the dogs, or the fish, or whatever it might be. Then there's a component of security. We need one another for security reasons. And this might be physical security, but also financial security and emotional security and social security. There are a lot of these security things that are part of marriage. But that makes the relationship extremely challenging. So a few hints and a few tips, dear delegates. We must not, let's just take marriage out of the picture for now. I want to go back one slide so that we have a clean picture. We must not, if we want to destroy a relationship, we must mix them. We must start with a business relationship and then make it friendship and then make it a love relationship. You are in big trouble if somebody does that. It's a mess. It's a mess. Let me just share something with you. Don't buy a car from your best friend. It's the end of the friendship if the car is not perfect, and it might even be perfect. Don't mix these relationships and keep them clean. The ones that are by their nature a composition is parent-child, with especially with teenage children. Next week we have our optimal parenting webinar on teenage children, especially with teenage and adults. We refer to this, and you know that I don't want to use the term, but children that are now adults. There's no such thing as adult children, children that now became adults. So that functions, it's anchored in a love relationship, but it should function in a friendship relationship for the fun and the experience of being together. Remember, a love relationship is not dependent on that. It's unconditional. A love relationship is not dependent on spending time together. We must get this picture clean. Let me give you an example. I have 3 kids. The eldest one, her name is Corinne, moved to Sydney in Australia. I haven't seen her for, I think, 2 years. Their timelines are so off the charts, bad compared to our timelines. They sleep when we work and we sleep, so we don't have contact. We have very limited contact because of the timeline issue and. Does it mean that I now love Corinne less than Michelle and Jaco? Obviously not. Does it mean that my love relationship with Corinne has now been taking strain? Not at all. You cannot end it. She can move to the moon. I don't care. She can go and live with Elon Musk team on Mars. Does it change my love relationship with her? No. It's an unconditional, indestructible relationship. It cannot be destroyed. If the relationship gets destroyed, it was not a love relationship from day one. It was probably a very good and fun to experience friendship, or it was a good business, whatever it might, or it was security. I'm in it for the security that the relationship provides for me. So these are the relationship frames and the relationship reports and the types that the shadow match system can generate. Now, what I want you to do is, obviously, in preparation of next week, Lizette will show you where to find your relationship reports on your personal portal. But in preparation for next week, ask yourself a few questions. I just want to give you a hint what we will do. Can a relationship be recovered if it was stressed and compromised by one person in the relationship? So this is an important question. Can one party to the relationship recover it? The answer is yes, if both parties want the relationship to be recovered. So that's the first. The second thing is, can we recover a relationship that has been seriously challenged over a long period of time? The answer is yes, but there is only one condition. Both parties must want to recover. I'm going to share the screen again because I want to show you something. Then the third question that I want you to ask is, can we work in a relationship at such a point that the structure of the relationship changes in order to make it work? I'll give you a few examples. Let me just share my screen again. Bear with me. I'll go back. Remember, dear delegates, the person that if I go to a building and I stand in the lift from ground floor to the 10th floor, with somebody in the lift is not a relationship. That's contact. That's just, I made contact with this person. There are many people in our lives that fall outside of this circle. I know them, but I'm not in a relationship with them. A relationship is something else. There is common ground between the two people, and there is a common interest in the lives of the individuals that they share, and it brings them together for fulfilling these common needs that they might have. So there are many people that I know, many people, they are outside of this circle. They're not there. The problem is, what if I have, let's take a very horrific example. I got married to somebody, and after many years I discovered that I never loved this person. What now? What can we redefine the relationship so that it works? These are the topics that we will discuss next week. I will spend 5 minutes on each of these relationship types to show you how we can recover it and how we can reframe the relationship so that it works. But then what we must do is, obviously, we must stick to the frame of the new situation or the new relationship frames that we work with. So I can do business with somebody and then become friends, then we end this. This comes to an end. Can't have both. And if we have both, we must be very careful. I can be friends with somebody and then start a business, but then this must end. That's it. We must cut this. It's end. We can keep it up, but it's extremely challenging. Let me just share with you one little story. The most challenging business framework in the world is a family business. And now you can obviously see what's the reason for that. A family functions here. Suddenly they need to function there, and to a large extent also here for financial security. But these relationships don't want to mix. And this is what makes relationships so challenging. So we will have a look at the relationship types next week. If you want to watch the video again, please do so. The video is the ground structure. If you want to read about the relationships, I have it in the second book that I wrote. Shadow Match, I think it's Shadow Match, The Full Story. Lizette will help me out if there are 2 books, Shadow Match, I think Successful or something like that. But it's on page 44 to page 50, and you can read the entire content there. I am open to questions, Lizette. We will see one another again next week, but for now, over to you.
Thanks, Peter. There were some questions. I think what I'll do now is just share my screen, and those that haven't seen it, I think most people are familiar with the relationship part on the Shadow Match portal, but to the new names that I haven't recognized in the past, allow me to share my screen, and then I will show you where to find the relationship section on your personal portal. So obviously this is my personal portal. So you go to shadowmatch.co.za, you enter your email address and your password. If you haven't got a password, you click on forgot password, and the system will send you a link so that you can set a password that you can remember. So once you have, this is the landing page or the dashboard. This is where you will land once you log into your personal portal. And then you will see that there's a section that's labeled relationships. So if I click on relationships, the system will now open the 8 relationship types: work relationship, friendship, family, love, marriage, staying together, parent, child, and teacher-student. And it's really as easy as, if I want to request a friendship report with one of my friends, I will go and I will request the report. The system will ask me for my friend's name, last name, and the email address, and I can send the invitation. Now, the system is intelligent enough to, if I capture Veni Byers, the system will check on Shadow Match, has Veni in the past completed a Shadow Match worksheet? If she has, then the system will automatically send her a request to tell her that Lizette has requested a friendship relationship report with you, and she needs to approve the relationship report before the system will compile the report. Should Veni not have completed Shadowmatch in the past, then the system will automatically, when I press send invite, send her a worksheet link. So the system will tell her, listen, Veni, Lizette has requested a friendship report. We see that you haven't got a Shadowmatch result on the database. Please complete Shadowmatch. And upon completion, do you give your consent that we then compile the friendship report and then send it to both of you? So once she has done Shadowmatch, or the system finds her Shadowmatch results on the system, and the system then compiles the report and sends it to both of us, and we will get the report in our emails. You can also see that there's a marriage report that Peter and I have requested, and I can view the report here. Any requests and invitations that have been sent to me, somebody might send me a work relationship report. Suzanne might send me a report for a work relationship. I will see the request sitting here. I can then approve the request from here, or I have the option to approve the request in my email. So that's where you will find the relationship reports on your personal portal. Peter, a few comments before I start with a question, so that if someone has to run early, they don't miss out on some of that. The recording will be available on the events calendar later today or tomorrow. So those who want to share the recording with somebody, that you can find the link there. I have posted the link for the video that Peter played in the chat. So if you just scroll through the chat, right at the beginning of the chat, you will find the link to the YouTube video. And Suzanne, thank you very much. She has also pasted the link to download the books. I see some downloads have already come in during the course of the presentation. I think that's it, Peter. Let me ask the questions that came in the chat, and then we will allow to enable the microphone setting so that people can ask questions live. I'll start from the top as the questions came in. The first one was from Jan. Jan asked, Peter, does a security relationship require someone else to see this as a love relationship? In most cases, for example, a parent-child. So the security relationship, I guess, will then be from the child's perspective. And then there's one more question, unless some others came in whilst I was busy talking, but let me position that question. That came from somebody directly to me. Can a relationship recover when the parties in the relationship have different realities on what that relationship is? In other words, what type of relationship that is? Can a relationship then recover? And then I think that's the two questions for now. Let me read the chat, and then I'll position some more questions. Thanks, Peter. Back to you.
The security and the love relationship being mixed up, and the one can be seen as the other. It's just because the people do not understand the frames in full, and they don't have a clear picture of what the two relationship types or relationship frames are. Then we start to mix them up. A security relationship is always driven by the person in need, making some compromises and stay in the relationship even against their will sometimes. And the person that provides the security will always remind the receiver of the security, remember, I pay your fees. Remember, I provided you with a car. What will you do if you divorce me? You won't have an income, so just mind your steps. I remember I provide you with a house and money and so who will provide for this? So the security relationship always have these subtle reminders of, remember, I am your security. If I have an employer and I am unhappy, they might say, I had this long discussion this morning for another reason that is unrelated to the workshop, but the person just started talking to me and I heard a lot of things that I felt so sorry for the poor person. But he said to me, I've been working for this place for 42 years. I hate every moment of it. And my employer knows it. I cannot resign because financially I'm dead. So he stays in the relationship, and the employer reminds him continuously, you know, that we have a retrenchment coming. So you'd rather pull your weight and do what I tell you, or you might be out. So the music is always there. Remember, I am your provider. With a love relationship, it's completely different. There's no, the fact that I'm the provider should never even be a topic, because your well-being is more important than my own. And I'm willing, listen carefully. I will remind you next week of the sentence. I'm willing to give my life to save yours. That's a love relationship. I'm willing to give my life to save your life. And I might walk into death knowing this is my end to save your life. That's completely something different. That is, and the beloved must know it. They must know that my dad will give his life for me. That's what secures the relationship. If between Lizette and I, Lizette is my wife, just for those of you who are new, Lizette must know that I'm willing to give my life to save her life. I am, the price of her well-being is not a question. It's not the question. Her well-being is the question. What it costs carries no weight. That's a love relationship. Then that brings me, can a relationship survive if the two parties to the relationship, it could be more than two, have different understanding of what the relationship construct or the relationship frame is that they have? I'm not sure that I have this right. Let's say, for instance, I am friends with somebody and that somebody understands the relationship as business. Can that relationship survive? I think we must be very clear on these things. We must communicate with one another and say, my relationship with you is friendship. And in friendship, we do things together, we enjoy it, we spend time together, and we have common interests. That's where we stay. I don't want to buy anything. I don't want anything from you. We are friends. So that we just define it. If I have a different definition of the relationship than the other party in the relationship, it can't work, because we behave differently in the relationship frames. Now, make a mental note of this. Next week, you will hear this sentence all the time. A relationship works because we approve each other's behavior. That's it. Except for a love relationship. It's not conditioned. There's no such thing as on condition that you do what I like. A love relationship stands beyond this. It's a spiritual thing. It stands beyond our understanding of one another. It's beyond our rational capabilities. And the best way to describe it, I think, when you say to people, what has your dog done to sort of gain your love? What has your dog done so that he gives you back? He pays you for the love you have for your dog. Nothing. We shoot the things. So why do you care for the dog like this? Because I love the dog. And then we move just one step further and we say, if I'm at the coast and my 5-year-old daughter plays in the waves in the sea and she fell off the rocks, would I then say, oh, no, you know what? I told you to clean your shoes last week, so goodbye. And you didn't do it. That's not what we do when we love somebody. I will give my life to save my child. So when we have different frames of understanding a relationship, the relationship is already compromised. And remember, if both parties are willing to save the relationship, we can work with it. But then we must have the same understanding of the frame where the relationship functions. Lizette, I think I've answered both questions. Next one.
Thanks, Peter. The same person who asked the question about can a relationship recover when the parties have different realities just made a comment and said, it seems that all relationship types except the love one is a relationship of choice or perhaps of mind. Not sure how to phrase it. So you can keep that comment. And then there was one more comment. I'm sure most of you have read the chat, but those that haven't, Elmar just shared that she recently facilitated a marriage report session for a couple, and they were stunned by how accurate the report content addressed their relationship realities. It was a very positive experience for the couple, excellent model, and a very good report and session. Thank you, Peter, and the Shadowmatch team. So, Peter, I think at this point, I'm going to allow everybody, I see Paul has already raised his hand, to unmute their microphones. We've got 10 minutes, so good timing. Those of you that need to run, you're welcome. We will record for another few minutes, and then we will switch off the recording. Thanks, everybody, for joining. And remember, next week, for those of you that need to run early. Allow me a moment. Great. You will be able to unmute, Paul. You can go ahead.
Hi, Peter. Thanks again. Just a question. I think I know the answer to the question, but if you've done a report, a Shadowmatch report 2-3 years ago, and you did a relationship report, it's important that you keep the relationship reports up to date. In other words, get the latest relationship report. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you're right, Paul. If our habits change, our relationships change. That's and I've seen your query, Paul. I'm looking into it. Our IT team is just at this point seriously dead. Paul sent in a query about a relationship report that he wants a bit clarity on, and sorry for this open forum to address it. I will come back to you sort of during the run of next week. Sorry for that, Paul. Yeah, you're right, Paul. Lizette, I think somebody else also raised their hand.
Thanks, Peter. I think let me stop the recording and then we continue with the questions. Thanks. Let me just find it. Okay, I think the next person can go ahead and they can ask their question.